this moment for 28 years. True story, I'm not exaggerating. 28 years ago, my wife and I left our professional careers because I wanted to do some summer camp speaking. This is a little bit like summer camp. You've grown up a little bit more than those high schools I used to talk to. But, it's a lot like that. And so I'm really excited about this opportunity. And so finding Jesus in La La Land. When I was your age, people weren't setting up chairs in the back. Or whatever they're doing. No, when I was your age, La La Land, man, and by the way, I Wikipedia'd this, so I'm pretty sure I'm right, a fanciful state or dream world. And then, about 6 years ago, I moved here and I found out this is also La La Land, which is a fanciful state or dream world, I guess. And then I had a chance to see this great movie that's out there. Has anybody seen? Anyway, so La La Land, it's a great movie. There's like 14 Academy Awards. If you haven't had a chance to see it, go see it. The reason I say that is because it hits you guys and your generation, I think, really well right where you're at. What it hits is this. It's two people. This is not a spoiler alert. You can still watch it, okay? It's just two people who are chasing their purposes, and it shows what they gave up along the way. That's the movie, okay? Well, for 28 years, I've also been chasing my purpose. I know it wasn't right in that book, but that does happen to fit into it. Let me tell you my purpose. So let me back up before 28 years, before my public accounting days, way back when I was a music major. Yeah, go musicians, woo, okay. By the way, not the singing kind, okay? I can play you like 3 octaves in my lips right now if you wanted to hear it. You don't want to hear it, do you? Anyway, that's the same song. I used to have this permanent suction cup look on my face. That's what trumpet players look like who play 6.5 hours a day. It looks like you've been like, those little plungers you stick in your toilet, it looks small, it's called a mouthpiece. You keep cramming your face into that thing, and so you constantly have this permanent ring. But anyway, so that's what I did back in the day. But at that time, and Christian circles, they may still do it, I don't know. I remember somebody challenged us about getting a life verse. Okay, and I've read the Bible, by the way, most of my life, every day. Okay, but a life verse, I thought, yeah, that seems like a great idea. And so the life verse I chose, I'm going to read it to you. It's a few more verses, but it's in Ephesians. And so this is back in my college days. It says, and I pray that you, and the you here is Christians. And so Paul has just revealed this really cool thing, the Apostle Paul, that people they can come to know God. They don't have to be born into the tribe of Israel. He's talking to probably most of you out here aren't Israelites. And there's like this great news. Guess what? You also can know God. And so in this prayer for them, he says this, that I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the saints. By the way, the saints, if you're from a Catholic background, you think you have to get sainted or something. He's using the word saint here for anybody who has chosen Jesus to be the Lord of their lives. Okay? So it's super simple in a way. It wasn't simple for him, but it's simple for us in that he did everything. The grace that he offered us, because of that, through faith, we could be his kids, his children. And so he says, so I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the saints to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Well, I totally don't understand the last part. How can I be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God? But somehow, I wanted to understand God's love. I'd heard about it a lot. I just wanted to get it. By the way, I would say that people come to God for 3 reasons that I've observed. A lot of it is just his love or his mercy or his grace, whatever you want to call it, just his kindness to us. Another reason I think a lot of people come to God, the God that, I'm talking about the God of the Bible, okay? I don't care where you're coming from. If your theology disagrees with God, one of you is wrong and it's not him. Okay, so whatever I say today, test it against the Bible. If it's not right, chuck it. Okay, but the God of the Bible describes himself as one who delights in kindness. Justice is the second thing that people come to him for. They want some justice in this world. Where is it, God? So kindness, justice, and righteousness. And by the way, righteousness has really been on my mind a lot in recent years. Because we're now about 2 generations, like starting with my generation, and now you guys are like, my kids are now your age and a little older, okay? And that next generation, we're a couple generations deep into what's called the postmodern world. It's new to us, it's not very new at all if you're Hindu from that background. It's, in a nutshell, it's all good. You know, your thing's good for you, my thing's good for me, it doesn't really matter. So hey, let's not fight about it, let's just all agree to get along, let's all just agree. And that's actually not right. God's the God of kindness, justice, and righteousness. He says, in these he delights. And there's actually such a thing as truth. I could prove to you that as an accountant. If I told you that 2 + 2 = 5, you'd chuck me. Or at least you'd hire somebody else. That's because there's such a thing as truth. 2 + 2 = 4. If somebody comes with a different answer, they're wrong. So there's righteousness, which is right and wrong, but also like morally right, like righteousness versus wickedness. Some things are just mean, bad things to do, okay? And our God delights in kindness, justice, and righteousness. So in just the next couple minutes, I'm going to give you 2 of my biggest aha moments in life that drove these things home. And I hope it works for you. I hope you can understand deeper what his love is, and it's kind of around this passage. So I'm going to start with what I call my Great Epiphany. And so I've been a Christian for a long time. I knew who God was. But this Great Epiphany, one day I was in a Bible study, graduate school, and you know, some of these really smart people who ask tough questions, and we're just walking through the Bible. We're just reading verses, and I get to this really famous sermon. Now, those of you who hate sermons, you would love Jesus' sermons. The longest one I can find in the Bible, if you read it really slowly, it takes 15 minutes. Woo! Okay, right. So, but it's slow, it's succinct, it's super deep. But he says this thing in Luke 6. He says, if somebody strikes you on one cheek, turn to them the other also. And if somebody takes your coat or your shirt, give them your coat as well. And he says these amazing, powerful things. And then at the end of the day, he says, forgive them just as your Father in heaven has forgiven you. So like good academics, we're bouncing back and forth. And my friend Jack, who was also my finance professor at the time, most educated guy I've ever met. He was a CPA, he was an attorney, and he had a PhD in finance. This guy was just in school too long. That was by like the age of 12 or something, I don't know. But anyway, he asked this question. He said, so what do you mean if somebody takes my shirt, give him my coat as well? So if somebody takes my mountain bike, I just let him have it? Now, I knew that Jack used his mountain bike to commute to school. So this is a pretty important item to him. And I said, Jack, you know, I don't know if I get it. But at the end of the day, we're arguing back and forth. I said, we're going to do this thing that we call inductive Bible study, which is look in the passage and not blow it off. I said, I don't think I get it necessarily. I'm sure there's passages about justice and so forth. I'm just saying he said it. So we left that day, that Tuesday night, with this question in our minds. What about Jack's mountain bike? And did Jesus really mean it? Did Jesus really mean what he said? And then I'd been invited to, just a few days later, to speak at something called a Good Friday service. And most Christians know what that is. Even if you're not a Christian, you've probably heard about Good Friday, right? And so I'm reading through all the passages in the Bible, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, these 4 Gospels that recount Jesus' life. And they're all giving the story of Jesus' crucifixion. And I saw something that day I'd never seen before. In the order Jesus preached it, he fulfilled it completely on the cross. So like when he says, if somebody strikes you on the cheek, turn the other also. At that point, I thought it just meant be the bigger man, right? If somebody whacks you, you know, be the bigger man, walk away. I've been slapped really hard twice in my life. My wife's shaking her head saying, no, John, don't go there. But yes, she's one of them. And boy, did I deserve that. We were dating. I did something that was probably something I shouldn't do on a date. And well, anyway, so she just whacked me really hard upside the head. And I didn't like it very much, and so I walked out the apartment door, and actually the door shattered. There was 2 doors, actually. I remember the wood screen that was attached, it just blew to pieces. At which point, people come running out of this place and wonder what happened. I'm quite embarrassed now because I've attracted attention to this shattered door and so forth, and we're kind of outside now laughing at this stupidity. So at that case, I wasn't really the bigger man, okay? But another time I'd been slapped upside the head when I was a camp counselor one time by some, I don't know, what I thought some silly girl for some pop-off comment I'm sure I made. I didn't think I deserved getting slapped, but anyway, in that case I did a better job. You know, I was the bigger man, it's like, whoa, what was that? I kind of walked away. That's what I thought Jesus meant until the crucifixion. And if you look at the crucifixion, the 3 major ruins bodies of the day, including the ones who said they followed God and the ones who definitely said they didn't, all beat him to within an inch of his life. And what did he do every single time? He just kept turning the other cheek, back and forth and back and forth. And then when he says, if they take your shirt, give him your coat as well, you look at the crucifixion, and at the foot of the cross, what do you see? They're actually casting dice for his underwear. He's got a seamless garment saying, hey, let's not ruin this one. They've got him up there, being crucified, saying, hey, let's see who gets it. And Jesus is just taking it. And then he says, forgive others just as your Father in heaven has forgiven you. And I see Jesus not just forgiving a criminal who moments before with his friend has been hurling insults at him. This guy says, wow, Jesus is taking this very different than we are. And he actually realizes that moment. And he says, hey, Jesus, will you invite me into the kingdom? And he says, yeah, today you'll be with me in paradise. But we see Jesus actually forgiving people on the cross. He says, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. He actually forgives people who aren't even asking for forgiveness yet. And at that moment, singing the exact order he preached it, he took that hypothetical question. That's what we like to do as academics, is play with that question and see how far does the person mean their teaching. He took the teaching absolutely as far as it could go. So I want to tell you guys, my biggest aha moment in all of Christianity is Jesus actually meant it to the fullest. So that's the God I'm talking about. People tell me today that they don't believe in those hocus pocus miracles he did back then. Let me tell you this, as an ethicist who has read many philosophers and talked to many of supposedly the greatest minds that the world has today on ethics, there is no teaching like the teachings of Jesus. Now in a postmodern world, you could rightly argue back and say, John, you don't know me, you don't know what I know. You're right. I'm going to grant you that. I don't. But I'm going to do what Jesus said. He said, when I'm lifted up, referring to him being crucified, all people will be drawn to me. I'm just going to tell you what I've seen. His teachings are a miracle in and of themselves. They are the gift that keeps on giving. Look into what he says and do it. So that's the first thing, okay? That's my big aha moment. Here's the second biggest thing. I've told people for years my life is about 2 things, loving God and loving people. It's the only thing that lasts, okay? For eternity, everything else goes away. We're all going to die. We're not taking it with us. We're going somewhere. He tells us to store up treasures in heaven, and I think there's 2 treasures. It's you, which is why I'm so thrilled to be here today, and it's God. Those are these 2 treasures in heaven. And I've told people for years that that's what my life's about. But you know, sometimes God's love, it comes to us in waves. And I want to tell you a story, and some of you might have heard this before. It's just the most powerful time that's ever happened to me to recognize how much God loves me. When I was a young guy, a little older than you, but more like kind of some of the assistants and stuff working here, I had a son named Joshua. And he was, wow, I'd say it's probably 20 months. And he was in that stage, that awkward stage where we come with the word toddler, right? And so we'd been to a football game at Washington State University, afterwards having a pizza party with the grandparents, just hanging out in a kind of a student rec area. And Josh is running around gleefully chasing this ping pong ball, right? And he can't play ping pong yet, but he can chase the ball. And it's kind of hilarious. He's chasing this thing, trying to catch it. It's bouncing all over the place. And full speed head on, he runs in right here in the corner of his eye, in the corner of this ping pong table. And I, of course, expect, you know, he's been hurt before. I'm expecting this big scream, right? Ah! But nothing. He just goes down flat. He's gone, right? And so I run out to pick him up, I gather him up in my arms, and I'm looking at him, and his eyes are open, but there's absolutely nothing there. His eyes are rolled so far back in his head, there's not any pupil, there's not any, whatever the X thing is, I'm not a scientist. There's nothing there but the whites of his eyes. And as I'm holding Josh there in my arms, like in slow motion, I'm just crying out to God, saying, God, please don't take my son. I miss him too much. And like over the next minute, as I watch him turn blue, just crying out to God. And so I still get word of this story. My son's alive, praise God. The paramedics came rushing in. He let out this gas. Finally, he screamed, he breathed. And that night, as I'm holding my son in my arms, because when you get a concussion, you got to check to see if the pupils are dilated. So you wake him up every half an hour, whatever. I'm holding there, just praising God for giving me back his son. But what I realized at that point is, in my life, there was nothing I could do in my power to bring my son back. But I realized that God gave me his son, and it was completely in his power to not give him up, and yet he chose to do so. And so that's my biggest aha moment for you to understand what it means to give a son. You see, when God did that, he gave us the greatest gift humanly possible. Heavenly possible. God can make more of anything else, right? I can make more money, but my son matters to me. God can make other things. He can't make more of his son. He gave him the one thing that mattered most. That's amazing love. So that's almost all I have for you, except for I want to tie this into La La Land. And I understand as a musician, back when I used to play, and the reason I was moved by that movie La La Land is music actually moves us. And over the years, because I've had that life verse, it's been in my heart, and sometimes something will pop up, and I just kind of like another verse comes up, okay? And so I've warned you, this isn't going to be great singing, but it will be from the heart. And here's a song I wrote, and I know a few of my accounting students have probably been the only person I've probably dared do this with, but it's deep in the semester, but here we go. By the way, here's what I want you to hear out of this song. There's just two things. God's ways work. He came here for two reasons. Yes, he wanted to bring us home to himself, but he also wanted to show us how to live. With me, he wanted to show what right is, what it looks like. God, you sent your son to show me how to live. My God, what have you done? Is there nothing you wouldn't give to redeem me? Somehow you esteem me. I don't understand, but I'm thankful for your plan. God, grant me the power to understand your love. I pray that you would grant me the power to understand your love, to know how long and wide and high and deep is the wonder of love. God's love had such a cost. How could a father give his son to die upon a cross for the wrong that I had done? Oh, how he loves me. Such mercy is above me. I don't understand. That's why he's God. I'm just a man. God, grant me the power to understand your love. I pray that you would grant your saints the power to understand your love, to know how long and wide and high and deep is the wonder of your love. So guys, that's my aha moments. Our God is amazing. He is true. His ways work. Compare whatever you got to him. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like Jesus. So I hope your years here in La La Land, you will find Jesus. You guys have a great day.